listening to News Talk 1480 WHBC and Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Now, here's your host, Paul White.
Good morning and welcome to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. I am your pharmacist, Paul White. We're glad you joined us this morning. Before we begin, I'd like to thank our sponsor, Altman Health Systems. Today, Brad and I have broadcasting from our administrative offices, and our special guest is Laura Chumney, medical laboratory scientist and assistant manager of Altman Blood Bank. Good morning and welcome to the show, Laura.
Good morning. Thank you for having me. I'm happy to be here to share information about blood products and the donation process since it's so important to saving lives.
Go ahead, Brad.
Okay, good morning. Thank you for joining us today. We'd like to remind our listeners that our program is also available on our podcast. It can be downloaded from the App Store on your mobile phone. Just look for Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy, and you can listen to any of our programs anytime. Each January, we come together to raise awareness and say thank you to blood donors for selfishly saving lives. The blood supply depends on volunteer donors. When donors give blood today, they give someone their tomorrow.
So, good morning again, Laura. Please tell us about your background and career with Altman.
Good morning, Paul. I graduated from Walsh University with my bachelor's degree in clinical laboratory science. I spent a year in the Cooperative Medical Technology program in Akron, Ohio, learning about each specific department in the medical lab. This includes chemistry, hematology, coagulation, microbiology, virology, urinalysis, and blood bank. After graduating, I began working in the Altman Blood Bank. And in the blood bank, I was a staff technologist testing for ABO-RH and other tests to determine what group of blood's best for the patient, making sure that it's compatible. After about 4 years of this, I moved into the role of technical specialist where I learned to problem solve and test equipment, making sure that it functions correctly so that we don't give out inaccurate results. A few years ago, I took on the role of assistant manager, so I'm learning other important aspects of the blood bank laboratory.
So, we all know there's a critical need for blood across the nation. What does it mean? How many people need some type of blood product in the U.S.?
So the need for blood products is continuous. Blood and the blood products cannot be manufactured, so that means we rely on the volunteers to donate. According to the American Red Cross, every 2 seconds, someone in the U.S. needs blood. So daily, this can be broken down into about 29,000 units of red cells, 6,500 units of plasma, and about 5,000 units of platelets. Blood products are often needed by patients having surgery or patients receiving cancer treatments or patients that have been in accidents or trauma situations and patients with chronic illnesses like anemia.
So how many blood products do people receive or have transfused each year?
There are close to 16 million blood components that are transfused each year in the United States. Average red blood cell transfusion is approximately 3 units, but a cancer patient could need up to 8 units of platelets a week during their treatment, and a single car accident victim could require over 100 units of blood products.
Wow. So when it comes to blood type, what blood type do hospitals most request and why?
So Group O red cells are requested most often. The Group O blood products can be split up into O positive and O negative. So type O negative is known as the universal donor. This is because it can be safely transfused to patients of any blood type in emergencies or when the recipient's blood type is unknown. For this reason, the O negative red cells are important in trauma situations, surgeries, and babies that might require the transfusion. Type O positive is the most common blood type, so it's needed for many patients just to meet the general demand for blood.
So, How many people in our population have O negative and O positive? And again, I think, did you say O negative was sort of the universal donor? Am I correct on that?
Yes, O negative is the universal donor. So that's about 7% of the population. So it's pretty rare, and it plays a major role as the universal donor. So getting those O negative donors is really important. And then for the O positive people, there's about 40% of the population that are O positive. So it's the most common blood type.
And you can give either of those to other types of patients with other types of blood?
Correct.
Okay. Um, why is blood donation critical to saving lives?
So the first reason that it's critical to saving lives is that blood products cannot be made in a lab. So they rely strictly from volunteer donors. Another reason is that blood is often needed immediately for your trauma patients, accident patients, and emergency surgeries. Um, it's also critical for patients that have chronic conditions such as cancer and anemia. They rely on regular transfusions to feel relatively well. And then blood transfusion can also be needed for stabilizing patients that are having complex surgeries, such as an organ transplant, and also complications that could arise from childbirth.
So is donated blood used whole for everyone? And what are the components of blood?
No, whole blood generally is not used for everybody. Whole blood is used to treat patients that require large amounts of blood components. These are patients that have significant blood loss, usually due to trauma, heart surgeries, transplants. Most often, donated blood gets separated into its components. So, whole blood is made up from the following: red cells, plasma, platelets, and cryoprecipitate. Once divided into these components, each unit can then go to multiple patients. So this is how every donation has the potential to save up to 3 lives.
Very interesting.
Okay, what are red blood cells and what do they do in our bodies?
The red blood cells are your most abundant cells in the blood. The red blood cells transport the oxygen from your lungs to your body's tissues. Then, once in your body's tissues, they use it to produce energy. They use the oxygen to produce energy. And then the tissues release carbon dioxide, which is the waste product. Next, your red cells will take the carbon dioxide back to your lungs for you to exhale. And then the process repeats, taking the oxygen then from your lungs back to your tissues. Um, so without enough red cells, your body is unable to get a sufficient amount of oxygen. So this could lead to feelings of tiredness, weakness, and shortness of breath. So red blood cells help in maintaining energy levels and overall health.
Okay, so how are donated red blood cells used for patients who need them?
So red blood cells transfusions replace the lost blood volume and restore the ability to carry the oxygen in cases of trauma, surgery, and internal bleeding. Red blood cell transfusions can also improve the delivery of oxygen to tissues, which can alleviate the tiredness and weakness due to anemia, vitamin B12 deficiency, and other chronic diseases such as kidney failure. Transfusions of red cells can offer support for cancer patients since the chemotherapy and radiation therapies that they might be receiving can reduce the red blood cell production, which occurs in the bone marrow. Regular transfusions can also prevent organ damage and anemia when treating blood disorders such as sickle cell anemia. And then lastly, red blood cell transfusions can be used to stabilize patients and improve oxygenation for blood loss during surgery and in cases of severe infections or heart failure.
I guess our first break is here, Laura. You are listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy.
Are you tired of paying hundreds of dollars to find out your thyroid, A1C, cholesterol, and vitamin levels? You don't have to anymore. Schedule your low-cost lab test at the Medicine Center Pharmacy. You can get your A1C, thyroid, and vitamin D lipid profile, which includes your cholesterol levels as well as glucose results. Test results in just minutes, and you can share them with your provider. Call the pharmacy or schedule online at medshoprx.com. Medicine Center Pharmacy with locations in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia. Saving money is awesome. Saving money on items you actually use? Fantastic. Hi, Paul White for the Half Off and Out by store in Louisville. If you think you'll find the same low prices, huge variety, or great customer service at any other store, you'd be wrong. Stop into our store in Louisville and see what great deals we have. Follow us on our Facebook page at Half Off Store to see super specials. Why pay full price? Come in and experience the Half Off and Out by store in Louisville, next to the Medicine Center Pharmacy. The Medicine Center Pharmacies are now offering a service to help support your medication needs. We want to make sure that you have the medications you need when you need them. We will contact you 5 to 7 days in advance of your next medication refill to start the process each month. We will review your medications with you. We will contact your physician to initiate the process for refills and schedule a convenient day for pickup or home delivery. We simplify medication pickup into fewer pickups each month at the Medicine Center Pharmacies in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia. Saving money is awesome. Saving money on items you actually use? Fantastic. Hi, Paul White for the Half Off and Out by store in Louisville. If you think you'll find the same low prices, huge variety, or great customer service at any other store, you'd be wrong. Stop into our store in Louisville and see what great deals we have. Follow us on our Facebook page at Half Off Store to see super specials. Why pay full price? Come in and experience the Half Off and Out by store in Louisville, next to the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Have you ever gone to the pharmacy and decided not to fill a prescription because of the price? This is pharmacist Paul White. If you have skipped filling a prescription or a dose because of the price, we have great news for you. We are introducing a new membership program with wholesale pricing on every generic medication. Memberships are $5 a month. For many of our customers, our wholesale pricing is even less than their copay. Visit our website, medshoprx.com, and use our price checker to find out the price of your medication. Great deals at Medicine Center Pharmacy.
You're listening to News Talk 1480 WHBC and Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Now, here's your host, Paul White.
Welcome back to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Are you ready for vaccine season? We're still in it. Stop in or schedule your flu, pneumonia, COVID, or shingles vaccine online at medshoprx.com.
All right, well, let's talk about platelets. How are platelets important to patients who need them donated?
So platelets are tiny fragments in your blood that help with clotting. It's important to have enough platelets so that when you have an adequate amount of these platelets, this can prevent blood loss when you have an injury. Having too few platelets can put you at risk of losing too much blood if you were to become injured. But having too many platelets could increase your risk of forming blood clots and restricting blood flow. So the functions of platelets are they help with blood clot formation, they're important for healing wounds, and they prevent excessive bleeding.
So what types of patients receive platelets?
So the first patients that would receive platelets would be cancer patients. These patients are undergoing radiation and chemotherapy treatments, which can reduce the number of the platelets that are produced in their bone marrow. Some other patients with blood disorders such as aplastic anemia, leukemia, and low platelet counts, they could also receive platelets. Patients undergoing major surgery or trauma so that they can help clot and heal. Patients having organ transplants. In all of these cases, platelets help to treat or prevent the bleeding. Lastly, the patients with severe infections, because infections can cause platelets to get destroyed or stop working properly. Transfusing the platelets help with restoring the clotting ability in your body.
And plasma, how is it used to treat patients?
So plasma is the liquid component of your blood. It makes up over half of your blood's total volume. Plasma is needed to help your body recover from injury. It helps remove waste, prevent infection, and distribute nutrients moving throughout your body. Plasma is used when there's significant blood loss. It helps to restore the volume and improve circulation in cases of trauma, surgery, and burn victims. Plasma can be processed to make medications called clotting factor concentrates or immunoglobulins, which are used to treat hemophilia patients or patients with weakened immune systems. Patients could also have a procedure where their plasma is completely replaced, and that's called a plasma exchange. This plasma exchange procedure helps remove harmful antibodies or toxins that can occur due to autoimmune disorders, burns, liver failure, or poisoning.
So, are there any cells? What is really in plasma? Is it just I watched many military shows over the years, and that was one of the things in the field that they used a lot of was plasma. Is that just to increase the volume in the blood circulation system?
It can increase the volume, and there are some clotting factors and proteins that it contains.
Okay.
You mentioned something earlier in the program that I have to admit I haven't heard of before. So help us understand what cryoprecipitate is and how it's used for treatment.
So cryoprecipitate can also be called cryo for short. It's part of the plasma portion of your blood. It's important because it contains a lot of the clotting factors and proteins in high concentrations. It's mainly used in the treatment of patients with bleeding disorders that involve clotting deficiencies. So the main users would be patients with hemophilia to treat their bleeding. So that's a disorder where their blood doesn't clot properly due to their deficiency of the clotting factor. So transfusion will replace those. Cases of severe trauma or bleeding, it will be used to help promote clot formation. And then treating patients with low levels of fibrinogen, these can also include the trauma patients. The cryo contains fibrinogen, which helps the blood clotting process by forming little fibrin threads that begin to hold the clot together.
Interesting. Okay. What about white blood cells? What do they do in our bodies?
The white blood cells protect your body from infection. They move through your body, through your blood and tissues, and they respond during an injury or illness by attacking any unknown organisms that might enter your body. So there are 5 different types of white blood cells. The first one is neutrophils, and they help to protect by killing bacteria, fungi, and foreign cells. Next are lymphocytes. These cells protect against viral infections, and they help your body form antibodies so that in the future your body has an easier time fighting off, that particular viral infection. Then there are eosinophils, which help destroy parasites and cancer cells. There's basophils, and these are produced during an allergic reaction. The symptoms would be like you're coughing, sneezing, and runny nose. And then lastly, there are monocytes, and these cells remove the damaged cells from the body. So white blood cells can provide both an immediate defense for your body and then long-term immunity for your body.
Is white blood cells something that is replaced in a blood transfusion?
Yes. If your doctor orders granulocytes,
Oh, okay.
you can, yes, get blood cells that way.
Okay. So what are granulocytes then?
So granulocytes are a type of white blood cell which contains little granules within the cell. They're involved in inflammation and destruction of pathogens. So granulocytes move quickly to a site of infection or injury where they're needed to defend against the pathogens. Granulocytes are usually transfused to patients receiving chemotherapy and who have had bone marrow transplants. If these patients develop, a bacterial or a fungal infection that doesn't respond to standard medications, the doctor may order granulocytes for these patients.
So I had surgery some time ago, and one of the tests they ran on me was a blood typing test. And I go, why are you doing that? And they said, well, in case you need blood transfusion during your surgery, which there wasn't much chance that was going to happen, but because it was kind of superficial. But is that typical that during most surgeries that they do have blood available of the type that the person is being operated on?
Yeah, it's pretty standard that when you're scheduled for surgery that your doctor would order a test called a type and screen. So essentially your blood will be drawn, come to the blood bank where we will test your ABO and do an antibody screen to see if you have any, unknown antibodies floating around. From there, once we have your blood type and your screen, we can provide safe, compatible blood for you should you need it.
So who really benefits from receiving blood transfusions or infusions of the components of blood?
So there's many patients that can benefit from receiving blood. Since blood's separated out into all the individual components, the patient receives only the necessary components. They can be transfused separately or in combinations. So patients with anemia, those patients typically receive red blood cells, and that's again to increase their counts, deliver oxygen so they're not feeling, weak, tired, shortness of breath. Some other patients that undergo major surgery could use red blood cells. They could use platelets and plasma so that they're being oxygenated and that they're clotting, appropriately when they need to. Patients with bleeding disorders typically receive platelets and cryoprecipitate so that they can form their clots more easily. Also, patients with liver disease or liver failure, they commonly use the plasma products and the cryo products because, again, they're having issues with forming the clots, keeping the clots solid. Patients with bone marrow disorders typically use RBCs and platelets because your bone marrow is where your cells are produced. And so if they have a disorder affecting that, they would need to get transfusions of the RBCs and the platelet products. Infants that are premature or critically ill may also require red blood cell products or platelets. Patients with autoimmune diseases could again use plasma kind of to exchange out all of the the antibodies and replace it with plasma that does not have antibodies that are affecting their bodies. And then cancer patients likely most commonly use the red blood cell and platelet transfusions.
There is a disorder that affects African Americans and Orientals in particular. I can't remember the name of it, and my question is are we making any success in that, in solving that disorder?
So sickle cell disease,
Correct.
yes. Those patients typically receive red cell units to kind of help ease the pain, help the oxygen get delivered to the body, so that again, they're not, feeling tired, in pain, shortness of breath, those kinds of things.
Okay. Hey, guess what? It's the bottom of the hour and time for the news. Thanks for joining us this morning on Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy.
WHBC AM 10, reliable as ever on News Talk 1480 WHBC.
From the News Talk 1480 WHBC newsroom, U.S. defense contractor Anduril Industries is set to build a massive advanced manufacturing facility in central Ohio, creating 4,000 jobs in the high-tech sector. The facility, named Arsenal 1, will be located near Columbus and will produce military drones and autonomous air vehicles starting in July of 2026. Governor Mike DeWine hailed the project as the largest job creation effort in the state's history, emphasizing Ohio's strong aerospace workforce. Anduril's goal is to rebuild the arsenal of U.S. military weapons by leveraging advanced manufacturing technologies. A dangerous cold wave is expected to hit D.C. on Inauguration Day, potentially making it the coldest since 1985. D.C. Mayor Muriel Bowser has declared a cold weather emergency and expanded shelter capacity to protect vulnerable populations. Law enforcement and emergency responders are preparing for the frigid conditions, with concerns raised about their exposure to the extreme cold. Visitors are urged to take precautions, dress in layers, and limit your time outdoors. The FDA has approved the marketing of Zyn nicotine pouches, the first product of its kind to pass the agency's process. Approval follows an extensive scientific review showing that Zyn products pose a lower risk of health issues compared to cigarettes. I'm Pam Cook.
Saving money is awesome. Saving money on items you actually use? Fantastic. Hi, Paul White for the Half Off and Out by Store in Louisville. If you think you'll find the same low prices, huge variety, or great customer service at any other store, you'd be wrong. Stop into our store in Louisville and see what great deals we have. Follow us on our Facebook page at Half Off Store to see super specials. Why pay full price? Come in and experience the Half Off and Out by Store in Louisville, next to the Medicine Center Pharmacy. The Medicine Center Pharmacies are now offering a service to help support your medication needs. We want to make sure that you have the medications you need when you need them. We will contact you 5 to 7 days in advance of your next medication refill to start the process each month. We will review your medications with you. We will contact your physician to initiate the process for refills and schedule a convenient day for pickup or home delivery. We simplify medication pickup into fewer pickups each month at the Medicine Center Pharmacies in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia. Are you frustrated with the cost of prescription drugs? By now you know that your insurance price isn't always the best price on your medication. The new Health Matters Drug Savings Plan is simple, easy way to save money at your local Medicine Center Pharmacy. No need to visit a website or disclose your private information, fumble with your smartphone, or print out coupons. Just talk to one of our friendly staff members and ask for the best price. Medicine Center Pharmacy with locations in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia, and online at MedShopRx.com. Saving money is awesome. Saving money on items you actually use? Fantastic. Hi, Paul White for the Half Off and Out by Store in Louisville. If you think you'll find the same low prices, huge variety, or great customer service at any other store, you'd be wrong. Stop into our store in Louisville and see what great deals we have. Follow us on our Facebook page at Half Off Store to see super specials. Why pay full price? Come in and experience the Half Off and Out by Store in Louisville, next to the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Have you ever gone to the pharmacy and decided not to fill a prescription because of the price? This is pharmacist Paul White. If you have skipped filling a prescription or a dose because of the price, we have great news for you. We are introducing a new membership program with wholesale pricing on every generic medication. Memberships are $5 a month. For many of our customers, our wholesale pricing is even less than their copay. Visit our website, midshoprx.com, and use our price checker to find out the price of your medication. Great deals at Medicine Center Pharmacy.
Your severe weather station, News Talk 1480 WHBC.
Here's your AccuWeather forecast this afternoon. Not as cold, partly sunny with a high 34. Clouds tonight, a bit of rain and snow toward dawn. Little to no accumulation, low 29. Snow and flurries tomorrow could pick up about an inch, the high 36. Cloudy tomorrow night, low 17. Clouds and some snow on Sunday. Not much in the way of accumulation, the high 21. Plan with confidence. Check out AccuWeather.com today. I'm Steve Williams for News Talk 1480 WHBC.
You're listening to News Talk 1480 WHBC and Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Now, here's your host, Paul White.
Yes, you are listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. I am your host and pharmacist, Paul White. This morning we are talking to Laura Chumney from the Altman Blood Bank. So, Laura, blood donation I know is very important. And what are some reasons that certain people can't donate blood?
So there are donation restrictions that are in place to ensure the safety of the donor and the recipient. So low hemoglobin levels, prior to having your blood drawn at the donation facility, they'll test your hemoglobin level. If it is too low, they won't allow you to donate because it's not safe to take so much blood from someone who could be anemic already. Because whether that day or not, if they were to donate, they could pass out and have some bad results. Low blood pressure, this could be a safety risk during or after donation. So if you have low blood pressure, they might ask you to come back on another day. Recent cold, flu, or infection, that is not good for the donor or if a recipient were to receive that. So usually they say 10 days after a cold, flu, or infection that you could come back and donate so that everybody is safe. There are certain medications that can cause you to be deferred from donating. All of it is based on the medication. There are some where you will never be able to donate, and then there are some medications where, you know, after you stop the medication, like for a period of time, maybe 30 days, then you can donate after that wait time. Another reason why you may not be able to donate would be if you've had any recent tattoos or body piercings. This is to ensure that that you as the donor don't become ill, and that, you know, to ensure that the cleanliness was maintained during that procedure. So again, they'll have you wait a period of time before you can donate again. Also, travel to certain countries could cause you to be restricted from donating for a period of time. These are usually to areas known to have malaria. And I believe the deferral period is about a year for that, just to make sure that you didn't get exposed to malaria while you were traveling. Blood donors also need to weigh at least 110 pounds. The concern here is for the donor, because if they were to donate at less than that weight, the donor could become dizzy and faint. So that's a couple reasons. There's there's more, and it's dependent on medical history, certain medical conditions, being pregnant. They typically don't allow a pregnant person to donate blood, again, for the safety of mother and baby. And another reason would be if you recently donated, you have to wait a certain period of time before you are allowed to donate again for the safety, because we can't remove too much of your blood for your safety.
You probably already answered this question, Laura, but why is there a shortage of blood? I mean, so many people are taking so much medication, glucose and blood pressure and all that sort of thing. But why is there such a shortage?
So there's a couple reasons. One is low donor participation, and that's because many donors don't donate on a regular basis. It could also be due to lack of awareness. Some individuals just may not be aware that there's an ongoing need, and that donating blood is important, since, blood products can't be manufactured. Another reason that there might be low donor participation would be the possible fear or discomfort, fear of needles, fear of not knowing the process, that may prevent people from wanting to donate. Another reason that there's a shortage of blood is that there's, seasonal variations. Usually, the summertime, around Thanksgiving and Christmas, New Year's, there's less donations around those times because people are traveling. There's school closures, and a lot of donations occur at schools, whether high schools, colleges, universities. So when the schools are out of session, that kind of restricts the ability to get donations. Another reason there's a shortage is there is an increased demand from time to time. So there could be local medical emergencies, traumas, natural disasters, accidents, chronic medical conditions, such as, the cancer, kidney disease, things like that. There's also a shortage due to the eligibility of the donor, whether it's, their personal health, the medications they're taking, the vacations they've been on, perhaps, donor deferral because they just donated and they have to wait a certain period of time, things like that. Another reason that there could be a shortage is the shelf life of blood. So each component has a separate shelf life. Red blood cells are good generally for 42 days, up to 42 days. Platelets are good for between 5 and 7 days, and then plasma can remain frozen for a year. So it's a length of product availability. Also, there are challenges, like geographic challenges. So it's difficult to donate for those that live in, the rural and remote areas. So all of those contribute to why there is a shortage of blood.
Is donation painful?
No. I mean, it's a needle stick, but no, I would say it's not any more painful than any needle.
Okay. All right. Covered that one good. Okay.
So what have hospitals done to try to respond to blood shortages?
So hospitals will, in a real shortage, critical patients are prioritized. This requires a lot of communication between the physician, the blood bank, blood bank calling the donor center. But we do try to optimize those patients. There's also, on a regular basis, there are blood conservation programs where you have guidelines that you monitor to ensure that, people aren't getting blood when that's not the best option for them. There are minimally invasive procedures, which happens more now than it did in the past. While in surgery, the surgeries can use cell savers, which essentially takes the patient's blood and circulates it and gives it back, preventing, stored blood, which we have in the blood bank. So that that helps with preventing or responding to the blood shortages, and implementing the evidence-based transfusion guidelines, like I said. Hospitals encourage regular blood donations, usually by hosting various blood drives throughout their facilities. We try to always reduce wastage because blood is such a valuable resource that we don't want to, waste any of it because it's precious. And starting anemia management programs where you can find the people that have anemia and start treating them differently so that they won't use blood products in the future and kind of get their anemia to respond to medication treatments. And then we also network with other hospital blood banks when there's an immense need. We try to, see if we can get additional help from other area blood banks.
Wow. Time for our last break, isn't it, Brad?
Yep, we probably should.
Okie doke. You're listening to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Our final break is here.
Are you frustrated with the cost of prescription drugs? By now, you know that your insurance price isn't always the best price on your medication. The new Health Matters drug plan is a simple, easy way to save money at your local medicine center pharmacy. No need to visit GoodRx or Single Care, disclose your private information, or print out coupons. Just talk to one of our friendly staff members and ask for the best price. It is that easy. Medicine Center Pharmacy have locations in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia, and online at medshoprx.com. Saving money is awesome. Saving money on items you actually use? Fantastic. Hi, Paul White for the Half Off and Out by store in Louisville. If you think you'll find the same low prices, huge variety, or great customer service at any other store, you'd be wrong. Stop into our store in Louisville and see what great deals we have. Follow us on our Facebook page at Half Off Store to see super specials. Why pay full price? Come in and experience the Half Off and Out by store in Louisville, next to the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Saving money is awesome. Saving money on items you actually use? Fantastic. Hi, Paul White for the Half Off and Out by store in Louisville. If you think you'll find the same low prices, huge variety, or great customer service at any other store, you'd be wrong. Stop into our store in Louisville and see what great deals we have. Follow us on our Facebook page at Half Off Store to see super specials. Why pay full price? Come in and experience the Half Off and Out by store in Louisville, next to the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Medicine Center Pharmacies are now offering a service to help support your medication needs. We want to make sure that you have the medications you need when you need them. We will contact you 5 to 7 days in advance of your next medication refill to start the process each month. We will review your medications with you. We will contact your physician to initiate the process for refills and schedule a convenient day for pickup or home delivery. We simplify medication pickup into fewer pickups each month at the Medicine Center Pharmacies in Canton, Louisville, Minerva, and New Philadelphia. Have you ever gone to the pharmacy and decided not to fill a prescription because of the price? This is pharmacist Paul White. If you have skipped filling a prescription or a dose because of the price, we have great news for you. We are introducing a new membership program with wholesale pricing on every generic medication. Memberships are $5 a month. For many of our customers, our wholesale pricing is even less than their copay. Visit our website, medshoprx.com, and use our price checker to find out the price of your medication. Great deals at Medicine Center Pharmacy.
You're listening to News Talk 1480 WHBC and Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Now, here's your host, Paul White.
Okay, welcome back to Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. I am your pharmacist, Paul White. Thank you for joining us today. Let's get back to the last segment of the show.
All right, Laura, where can we donate blood?
Locally, you can donate with the Red Cross. They can be found they have blood drives at churches, schools, colleges, hospitals. So there are plenty of places to donate.
Hmm. How do we promote these products or tell the consumers or the customers that they need to? I haven't heard much lately in the media as to how much blood is needed. Um, is there a drive headed toward this, or is it because of the flu season that we're not pushing that real hard right now?
It is flu season, which again will impact donations. Usually, when you're driving around, you can see signs of places like churches and things. They'll have signs like, this blood center will be here on this date. But if you're looking to find a specific blood drive, you could always use the American Red Cross website, which is www.redcrossblood.org. You can then search by your zip code, city, or state and locate upcoming blood drives and donation centers. If you can also type in blood drives, including your city and state, into the search bar, and this will bring up all blood centers in the area that are having donations.
So the Red Cross can put on an event about anywhere. Is that correct?
Yes, yes, they
Okay.
can set up in larger rooms. They can bring like mobile buses to a facility. There's a variety of ways that they can get out and about to you.
Okay. And they only can take a pint at a time. Is that correct?
Correct.
Okay. Um, hmm, interesting. Um, please explain the donation process and how long does it take?
Um, on average, the blood donation process takes about an hour if you're donating whole blood. So the first step will be getting registered and then screening you. So you'll provide, your identification, confirming your name, date of birth, demographic information. They'll then take your temperature, uh, pulse, blood pressure, and hemoglobin level to make sure, you're appearing healthy for the day. They'll then take you to a private and confidential area for an interview where you're going to answer questions about, your health history, including places that you've traveled, your medication history, and questions that will assess your risk of having infectious diseases. Once you've made it through that, you will then proceed to donation. Whole blood donation is probably most common. That takes 8 to 10 minutes. You may also choose to donate double red cells. So that's like 2 units of red cells at once, and that takes about 45 minutes. If you choose to donate, just plasma, that's about 45 minutes. And if you want to donate just platelets, that takes about 2 hours. So once you do your donation, then you kind of have like a refreshment and a recovery time where you have a snack, drink, and then after about 15 minutes, you just um, continue on with your normal daily routine.
Every 6 months you can do that?
For whole blood, you can donate every 56 days, so about 2 months.
Okay.
Okay. What happens after donations?
So after donations, the blood then gets split into its components. So your red cells, your platelets, your plasma, cryoprecipitate. The blood then is tested for your ABO/RH and any infectious diseases. So that takes time to get that done. while that is being done, your blood unit is kind of in quarantine and just being stored. After those results come back, assuming your blood is safe, it'll be labeled, and then it'll be distributed to hospitals. Once at the hospital will bring the units of blood into their inventory. Again, we will check the blood type of the donor unit again to confirm it. And then we will cross-match it to the patient that needs it. And once cross-matched, when it's ready to be transfused, we dispense it to the floor. The nursing staff will administer the blood product and monitor the patient to make sure that they're not having any adverse reactions during their transfusion.
And
Go ahead, Brad.
Well, you touched earlier on how long a blood donation can be stored, and it depends on which blood product, right?
Correct.
Okay. Where is it stored? In the hospitals or?
It's stored in the blood center before it reaches the hospitals. So red cells are refrigerated products. Platelets are room temperature, but they have to be on a shaker to kind of like rotate them and keep them viable. And then plasma and cryo are stored in the freezer. And then once they're requested by, the physician, we then thaw them.
So how long can you store a full pint of blood for use?
It is good for about 42 days.
Okay. Gosh. Okay, I have to ask this question. Is all the blood that is drawn used, or do we just have certain blood types preserved for an emergency?
We have the group O that's reserved for emergencies when we don't have a patient type. But other than that, we do use all the types in the blood bank when patients have known ABOs. So it's based again on the recipient's blood type, which, type of blood that they will receive.
Okay. Go ahead, Brent.
Well, what if you want to help? What if you can't donate? Well, how about this? What would you tell someone who's never donated blood before, and try to encourage them to donate and not be afraid to donate? Because I fear that some people that haven't donated before just are afraid of the process.
So I would suggest that, they get online, read about the process. Maybe if they're still nervous, maybe call, ask specific questions that might that they're kind of concerned that bothers them, and maybe that can alleviate, the fear if that's what it is. Sometimes just knowing what goes on can help alleviate that, and then just give it a try and, see how you react to it or what your experience is.
Okay. And you mentioned earlier in the program that there are some patient populations that aren't eligible to donate. What can patients like that do to still support the effort?
So if they're unable to donate but still want to support it, some ideas would be like spread the word. So talk about the importance of blood donation with family and friends. Maybe their family and friends aren't aware that there's a need for blood donation. If the person is part of an organization, a school, a community group, they could host a blood drive, in which case they would contact the local blood donation facility to kind of start that process, see what needs done. Or you could volunteer at the local blood donation events. So you could help check in donors, you could help answer questions, help with setup. If this, again, sounds interesting, reach out to your local blood donation organization. And then you can also donate financially to a donation center. So those funds can be used for outreach campaigns to gain donors. It can fund research, blood safety and donation, or you can sponsor a specific blood drive.
How about some final words, Laura, on blood donation for our listeners?
I would just like to ask that, all the listeners, please consider taking an hour out of your day to donate blood. It's very important. These life-saving products are available, when needed, because like I said, they cannot be manufactured. So the need is always continuous.
Okay. Anything else? How can we get a hold of you to find out where the next blood event is?
You can call me here in the blood bank. My number is 330-363-5364.
Anything else, Brad, or are we about done?
No, thank
We're
you
out
for
of
joining
time.
us today. Very
Yep.
informative.
Okay, Laura, thank you. Laura Chumney with Altman Blood Bank. If you suspect you have a medical issue, please contact your healthcare provider. Thanks to Altman Health System and our listeners for joining us on Health Matters with the Medicine Center Pharmacy. Have a healthy week, and we'll see you again next Friday right here on News Talk 1480 WHBC. Thank you very much, Laura.
Thank you.
Very, very interesting. Okay. Very
Thank you very
interesting.
much.
Take care.
Thanks. You too.
And we're having a heat wave today. It's a little warmer. Okay. Take care. And thank you again.
Thanks.